Science Beetle.
All right, welcome back, students. So let's go ahead and begin the discussion that we had here in math. And let's start with the digits. So what are the digits that we need to be aware of? Here, let's just go ahead and write this. The digits essentially include, at the very beginning, 0, but it also includes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The 0 is special because it does not have a value. Essentially what it is a placeholder. Essentially, also it says there is no count here. All these other numbers, the 1 through the 9, these are referred as the counting numbers or the counting digits. We use them like this is because we have combinations of these numbers or these digits. We can put them together, we can put them separately, or we can use them in various ways to essentially tell you how much of something you have. And the 0 is used in that sequence only to kind of show you there's nothing here, so there is none. Essentially, the 0 has, there's no value, but the 0 is also going to reserve a space. Okay, so it's just a space holder. So what does this mean for us? So let's go move some of these items over here to the side. So moving over here, and let's just take a very basic example. Okay, so the example I want to share with you is the following. Let's say that we do this. Let's say that I have the number 1. What does the number 1 really mean for us? Well, if we write it out, this means 1. In the normal sense, if we write it out in normal written out form in English or whatever language. And this indicates to us that we have one copy of whatever is showing. So essentially what we're referring to here is a count of 1, that you have one copy. So we can represent that here. We want to use a couple of items. We can say that we've got one copy. So essentially if I had some dots here, we can say that we only have one dot. If we actually come through and actually count this, we can see that there's only one dot here. So we would represent the number 1 to represent that. Now, what if we had a slightly different scenario? Let's go ahead and divide this out. What if we had another example here where we say that we have 2? Well, the 2 written out is TWO. This says that we have 2 copies. In other words, it's referring that we have a count of 2. And if we're going to represent that in terms of a drawing, we would represent that not just with one dot, but now we would have to represent that with 2 separate dots. So someone coming in here would essentially come in and say, all right, so if you look at this, you've got one dot here, you've got a second dot here, so therefore it conveys to the reader that you have a count of 2. Now we can do the same thing for all of the different types of numbers that we've got here, all the way from 1 all the way to 9. And if we go and look at that example, let's move this out of the way a little bit. And so here, what we would have here, if we do the example now, let's go ahead and separate this out. If we do the example here for 9, now we don't have to go through the entire exercise here, but we know that we're going to have a count of 9. Okay, so let's just put it that, count of 9, which means if I were asked to draw what this represents, you would have to draw 9 separate dots. So you would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then you would have 9. So that's what the digits here, 1 through 9, represent. They're used to count. Now, when we talk about the 0, okay, let's separate this out here. The 0, there is no value. So a 0 essentially is that there is no copies. And so the count here is none, representing that there is no object for you to count. It's the absence of any count or significant number. So if you haven't already subscribed, please go ahead and do so. Keep watching, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next video.